There was a long piece from Politico titled "Locked in the Cabinet" about former Energy Secretary Stephen Chu, and he talks about his experience working for the White House and how it wasn't what he thought it would be. So he was expecting it to be an actual Democratic administration, an actual somewhat liberal administration. That's one of the reasons why he was rock and roll in terms of working there and, actually being a part of the team. At one point in April 2009, he tells this story. He took a trip to Trinidad and Tobago for a summit of the Americas to talk about economic development. So he was there for work. And during an interview in front of an audience, he was asked a question. The question was, Secretary Chu, so did any of the leaders, especially from this part of the world, talk about the specific concerns about rising ocean levels? Very normal kind of question. It's probably something an energy secretary would expect. So he responds, yes, very much so. I think the Caribbean countries face rising oceans and they face increase in the severity of hurricanes. This is something that is very, very scary to all of us, that if you consider what has been happening, especially in the polar regions in the north, it's melting considerably faster than anyone predicted 10 years ago. He continues, if the ice in Antarctica and Greenland melts, this is bad news. If Greenland melts, it's 2 or 3 kilometers thick. We're looking at a 7-meter sea level rise around the world. Some island states will disappear. Now, let's pause here, and let me just put this in perspective real fast. What Secretary Chu is talking about, again, you can't argue with it. He's simply stating the opinion of the IPCC. He's stating the opinion of every reputable scientific body and every peer-reviewed scientific study that's been done on climate change. So this is not something that's radical. This is something that is factual. Well, according to Politico, while Chu was making these statements, quote, White House Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel called Deputy Chief of Staff Messina to snarl, and he said, quote, if you don't kill Chu, I'm going to. So Rahm Emanuel, Chief of Staff, was listening to the comments, and he was so outraged, he was so enraged, he wanted to silence Secretary Chu so bad that he made a phone call and said, if you don't kill Chu, I'm going to. AKA, shut him up. Shut him up. How dare he talk about the reality that the world is facing right now? Now, Politico adds that on the trip home, Messina confronted Chu and said, quote, what were you thinking? He yelled, quote, and how exactly was this fucking on message? So you have Messina and Rahm Emanuel, part of the Obama administration, in fact, the heads of the Obama administration, absolutely livid because somebody in the administration who should give a shit about climate change dared to talk about climate change. Now, if you're curious as to why that is, well, the answer is twofold as to why Messina and Emanuel reacted this way. Number one, it's the same thing with Obama. They are just not that progressive. I don't know how many times I could say it. In fact, they're just not progressive. These guys aren't, in the mold of Bernie Sanders. Are you kidding me? These guys are at least center-right, at least moderate Republicans in how they function. At least that's what they are. In fact, in reality, they're probably further to the right. But that's one reason, why that explains their actions and why they did what they did. But also, maybe it's because Rahm Emanuel has taken a grand total of $83,900 from, quote, energy and natural resource lobbyists over the course of his career. And if you think that's a high number, which it is, don't get me wrong, how does President Obama fare in the same category? He's taken a grand total of $2,410,062 from the same energy and natural resource lobbyists over the course of his career. So between them, they are flirting with $2.5 million that went to them from the oil companies, from the natural gas companies over their career. I can't quite figure out why they want to pretend like global warming doesn't exist and why they would want to shut up somebody when they talk about global warming. This is a tough one. Could it be that $2.5 million has bought their silence on the issue? Could it be that $2.5 million from ExxonMobil and Chevron and BP was specifically for the purpose of when you're in power, don't you dare rock the boat?